Peace and Islam. Welcome unto the Amexem-Moor-Empire, Moor's Internet Televideo-Network, or M.I.T.N for short. It is a part of the Imperial Broadcasting Agency. Today's date on the Amexem-Moor calendar is Peace Day, 24th of Kumal, the year 301, 630. For the record, I am the Noble Tinawat Il, and I serve as the lead video agent. I shall be your hostess for this broadcasting segment. This is the Amexem-Moor-Empire Perspective, segment 15, the process for becoming an Amexem-Moor national. It is my honor and my privilege to welcome back to this segment His Imperial Majesty and Anu El Bey. Peace and Islam, Your Imperial Majesty.
Peace and light, Islam, Noble Tina. Thank you for having me.
Islam, welcome. My pleasure. So today's topic is our process for becoming an Amexem-Moor-Empire national. Islam.
There are multiple paths, some direct, some indirect. The most important thing is to engage an Amexem-Moor-Empire national, to see who we are, how we are, and why we are the way that we are, to see whether or not it resonates within your spirit. And if it does, well, if you happen to be within one of the countries within the domains of the realm of the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarchy, we have a process. So if you're in the Greater Amexem, if you're in the Al-Qiblan and the Abzu, the Kush Harappa, or the Greater Asia, those are the 4 countries that comprise the domains of the realm of the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarchy. So if you're in North Central or South Amexem, including the Atlantis Islands, that is the Greater Amexem, one country. And you come across perhaps one of our fellow Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals, or if you happen to come across a website that we happen to influence, or if you happen to come across one of the many videos that we have that are all over social media, all over video platforms, and something resonate in your spirit, and you chose to objectively investigate who we are and how we proceed. If you decide to participate in our public video Q&A sessions, in our public audio call forums, or any other session that's open to the public, and what you see, again, resonates within your spirit, if you see that which is practical and sensible and viable and is a good fit for you and your family, there are steps. When we first get approached by a party that may be looking to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, we view them as someone that is curious. The next level up from curious is they become an interested party. The next level from there is candidate for the amalgamation. When parties get to the level of being a candidate for the amalgamation, they're now at the threshold where they will be eligible to move to get an appointment to be interviewed. Now, we don't like to waste folks' time or have our time wasted. So if someone has moved to a point that they are viewed as a candidate, then we view them as someone that will likely amalgamate. If they can meet our criteria, they're likely going to be amalgamated. So when we schedule for them to have an appointment, we have them to do so after they already had their 9 ounces of silver in possession. So when they go for their interview, if they are approved, they'll be amalgamated on the spot. Instead of having to schedule another appointment to do that, we just get it all done once they've been approved. Effectively, they're going to go through a questionnaire. And during the interview, going through the questionnaire, determination is made by Department for the Admission staff or by the Lieutenant Ambassador on the ground or any particular command authority that's on the ground from Imperial Affairs. They'll make the determination as to whether or not someone is authorized and approved to amalgamate in with the Amexem-Moor-Empire. So we walked them through a series of things prior to that to familiarize them with who we are and how we say we are and how we live and why we live in the manner that we do. That way they get context and perspective. And we could tell right away, we don't go looking for folks. We're not in the quote-unquote recruiting business, and we don't hunt folks down. We make it plain who we are and how we proceed. If it resonates in someone's spirit, they will reach out. We're not that hard to find. And then we start this particular process. Explain to them, this is who we are and how we proceed. We're walking through the details, the subtleties and intricacies of all that. And say, if you have any issue with any of these things and how we proceed, then we'd be happy to have you aboard if you choose to exercise that particular option. So, walking through particular steps, we have requirements for those that amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. So we let what those particular requirements are. All that amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire must train. All that become an Amexem-Moor-Empire national starts at the beginning. So I don't care what they have lived. I don't care what they thought they knew. If you amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, you start at the beginning. Recovering language, processes, protocols, and procedures. So everyone starts at the very base beginning. Once we open the hatch and welcome them in, and they start that process, they have to know how to exist and function as the quintessential American president. And how others proceed, as a rule, we are 180 degrees diametrically opposed to how they proceed. And this is primarily because the overwhelming majority of our kith and kindred across this planet are merely educated as opposed to being learned. They are programmed into what to think as opposed to being taught how to think independently on their own terms. So coming to us, you can't come to the Amexem saying, I want to become the Amexem-Moor-Empire national because I want to train. I want to master your material. That's guaranteed to get you rejected. You'll need us for that. You can go into any library on the planet, any law library on the planet for that. If you're coming here, you're coming to exist and function with those who think, act, and speak like you do. Or organic nation. A national collection of souls that work together cohesively, coherently, to make sure that we have global access to natural resources and supplies and markets. That we do collectively, because contrary to popular belief, there is no private sovereignty without collective sovereignty first, which means we all must be trained. Your body will give out and you need to rest. While you're resting, somebody has to be on duty to cover your back. And vice versa. When they're resting, you got to be on duty covering their back. Which means we all have to be trained to do that. So we lay out the criteria for the amalgamation. You must be someone that is melanated. The Moor lineage. I'm from Greater Asia. You qualify to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. I'm from Kusharapa. I speak Pashto, Marathi, I speak Tamil, I speak whatever they speak in Nepal. I speak whatever they're speaking in Kushite Mountain Range, east or west. You qualify to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. I'm from the people in the Abzu. Well, of course, you qualify to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. I'm from North Central or South Amexem-Moor from the Atlantis Islands, and you also qualify to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. We don't care what language you speak or what dialect you speak. We don't care what your faith is or isn't. The Amexem-Moor-Empire is secular. So we have those within the Amexem-Moor-Empire population that are Buddhists. We have those that are Seventh-day Adventists, those that are Christian. There are those that are Muslim. So we don't get into any of that. That's a private capacity matter. Under Article 9 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, whatever your faith is, it's protected under Article 9 of our Constitution. So we make plain to folks, if you're looking to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, let us know what your faith is. We're not going to come out and ask you, because quite frankly, it does not matter. We do need to know for the purpose of how we would schedule you for your training as an Amexem-Moor-Empire National, or how we schedule you for your duty. Because you have to do 108 hours of volunteer time in whatever department or subdepartment you're assigned to upon amalgamation. For example, you're the lead video broadcast agent for M.I.T.N, which is a part of the Imperial Broadcasting Agency. This session is part of your volunteer time for the month. Someone else might be assigned to the Imperial Water Agency and they're distilling water, or they're dealing with sanitation or sewage elements of making sure that our water is safe to drink, whether it be by reverse osmosis or some type of filtering system or some type of distillation system. Someone else might be assigned to journey travel and transport. They may very well be assigned to making sure that we can get to sea with trained staff. Again, we have 12 departments and 13 sub-departments, and they have to be fleshed out. And this is part of how we actually do that. So we told a candidate, you're going to have 6 hours a month of training per month, either in 2-hour sessions, or you're going to have it in one 2-hour session and one 4-hour session, or one 3-hour session and another 3-hour session. Ultimately, it's going to come down to 6 hours a month of training. Everyone starts at the beginning. You're going to master the subtleties and intricacies of language to get you to language comprehension, to get you to arena comprehension for discourse and international discourse purposes. Our training has nothing to do with foreigners or any colonizers and hostiles across the planet. It's all about how to exist and function within the domains of the realm of the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarchy. We have 149 books on our mandatory reading list. Upon amalgamation, I had to read these books, you're going to read these books. It helps to remove tunnel vision and give excellent peripheral vision. We are reading intensive here. We have to be. So when we walk folks through this particular process, we let them know, men, we're going to give you X amount of time. After you form the amalgamate into the Amexem-Moor-Empire, you have to acquire a fez and formal garment. Under Article 5, Clause 2 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, we have compulsory service here. So upon amalgamation, we'll give you up to 6 months to get your uniform for whatever defense apparatus you've been assigned to. This is for men and for women, by the way. And then, of course, the men would make it plain to them. Upon amalgamating within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, you have exactly 1 year to either establish a business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire or buy a stake in the existing business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. No exceptions. I'll throw you out. And I've thrown out over 50. We don't joke around. Women have a different responsibility. They must take the new fiscal budget law every Earth year, scroll through the line items, pick out a line item that they're going to look to fundraise for to help us to get it faster. They're going to report what that item is to the Department for the Admissions to be in compliance. They're required to do that, and they're required to do the fundraising throughout the Earth year to acquire whatever they were looking to acquire off the fiscal budget law, so we can get the equipment in place faster, or the materials and supplies in place faster for our fellow Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals. So those are the basic elements that we walk folks through. If we're not close to you, well then you can still amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. It's just that you're going to have to make particular moves, i.e., you have to report to the nearest command area where training is available 3 or 4 times an Earth year for training. If you're not that far out, then every 60 Earth days, if it's financially feasible to do so. Now, if we're not on the ground where you're located, we require that you have at least another household with you on the ground. So we have eyes on. So if anything happens to one household, the other household can check. So the one that made contact first is likely the one that will be placed in charge on the ground there. If they have the leadership criteria met, then that will be the case. If not, the other party on the ground may be tasked with that duty, obligation, responsibility. Either way, one of them has to report to the nearest command area for training, and both of them have to in addition to the monthly silver contribution of 2 ounces of silver per adult, they also have to raise additional funds amongst themselves to fund sending one of them to the nearest area to get trained periodically. All that is explained in the amalgamation process, which you find on that website, modernwarmonarchy.squarespace.com. Look for where it says amalgamation, and you'll see all this. We explain that there is no income tax or graduated income tax within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. Each adult, once they turn 20, puts 2 ounces of silver per month into the Imperial Treasury. And that's in conjunction with the monthly business taxes that we collect. That's how we fund our annual fiscal budget laws. We lay all this out before someone amalgamates. After they've gone through the interview process and they decide they want to proceed, we amalgamate them, we collect the 9 ounces of silver, give them their receipt, and they go through orientation right there. After orientation, they provide with their duty assignments. Because during that whole process, we have to find out what their schedule looks like. And then we make a formal commitment. And they have to make a formal commitment, which is, we're not going to, let's say you amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire and you are someone that is a Shabbat keeper, Hebrew Israelite, or whatever the case may be, Seventh-day Adventist, where we know that from sunset on one night to sunset the next night, that's a Shabbat, and you don't do anything at that time frame. That means we're not going to schedule you for training or for duty during that particular time frame. And there are going to be holy days involved, and you won't be scheduled for duty or for training during the holy days either. We work around that schedule. The same thing for any other faith. Well, I'm from MST of A, whatever grand body is involved. Resurrected, reincarnated, whatever 1934 portion as they call it. There's many grand bodies, various Dingle L demonstrations, things of this nature. We don't get up into any of that. We just say, all right, if you attend particular temple meetings and you're in good standing with the temple and you're looking to amalgamate with the Amexem-Moor-Empire, well, we know that you have service on this night, you have quote unquote Sunday school, and you have chamber meetings or executive board meetings on a different night. So those 3 days, you're not going to be scheduled for duty or for training. We don't make it hard. We make it very simple. So once someone amalgamates in, their training schedule is set. Their duty schedule is set. They start reporting for their trainings to learn how to be the quintessential Amexem-Moor-Empire national. And we know from when someone is curious, to someone being an interested party, to someone being a candidate, to someone actually amalgamating, we're watching their whole evolution. And we can tell who's probably coming. Because once they start viewing our material from the website or from videos and things of this nature, those that have been really objective in their investigation of us, as a rule, you begin to see their language change. When we don't see the language changing with them, we don't take a step back. We just say they're not ready yet. When someone starts correcting their own language in real time when we have an intelligent discussion, that lets us know they're taking seriously what they are learning. They're taking seriously what they are observing from us. And now we're forced to take them seriously. They gave honor, so we give honor. They gave respect, and so we give respect. Over time, they begin to see what is practical and what is sensible, and who and what is consistent, and getting the work done that saves lives and improves the quality of lives. We walk through these steps to give folks the opportunity to walk away. In fact, when first approached, as a rule, we would send folks several links for inordinate amount of information. Why do y'all do that? To make folks go away. What do you mean? We are reading intensive. We take our work very seriously. When you inundate folks with a massive amount of information, some of their eyes glaze over, or this is too deep, or no, I'm not doing it. Good. We'd rather you walk away now. So those who actually take the time, they actually invest the time to objectively investigate, we are forced to respect that. Those that take that approach are not wasting their time. And we're not going to waste their time either. So they begin to see things and how they correlate. And they can chart the changes in us over the earth years. And they can see our work globally. They can see what options are made available because of their choice to participate within the domains of the realm of the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarchy as a national. When you look at what's happening across the planet and look at what we're doing, we have to chase them down. They come looking for us. And again, it's about being consistent, constantly and consistently working to improve, expand, and maintain ad infinitum. We started out in 2 cities on 1 continent. Now we're in 23 cities, 4 continents, 1 island chain. Well, how do you get there? Through sheer will and determination. We're not everyone's cup of tea, as they say. Not everyone is ours. It's hard to become an Amexem-Moor-Empire national on purpose. It's even harder to stay. We make you earn that on a daily basis. Why do you choose to come into the Amexem-Moor-Empire? Why do you choose to stay? We have to do it this way. We're surrounded on all sides, above and below, by colonizing hostiles all across this planet. And they're crazy. So what did we do so that your offspring survive and have a better shot than we in this era? It doesn't happen by osmosis. We have to earn that, to fight for that. So we have to train for it, and we have to govern down to the local level, down to the precinct level. That takes those who have commitment, dedication, those that are prepared to take it for the team 10, 12 times a year necessary. This is the nature of who we are and how we proceed. We work cohesively as a team. We have to. In training class, if one of you fails an exam, the entire class has failed. You have to get at least 75 on the exam. 70 is passing, but everyone taking that training class together must all get at least 75. If only one of you doesn't, no more new information till everyone gets at least 75 on the exam. Why do you all do that? We force you to work as a team within the Amexem-Moor-Empire as soon as you get here. That's one way to answer your question as you asked it. You have a follow-on question for me, Noble Tina?
Well, you did mention training and extensive training. I do remember that our vocabulary is also attached. Is that all across the board for all 4 nations within the empire?
It's the same exact. If you go to Sector 4 right now, and if you go to Sector 5 right now, they have the same exact training material that you have. They have the same equipment too. So whatever department you or department you are assigned to, they have their own vocabulary inside the department. So it's not just training as a national. You get trained for whatever department or department you've been assigned to, for whatever your tasks that you're doing. So this is how we proceed consistently for over 25 Earth years, working our way into 26 Earth years. And this is how we win. Making sure that we are learned, not merely educated. Making sure that everyone can pull their weight so that when you're not on duty, someone else is on duty that can pull their weight and cover our backs. When we're on duty, we cover theirs. That's the way I respond to that. You have a follow-up question for me, Noble Tina?
Islam. I believe this will suffice for this segment. Islam. And I thank you for taking the time to answer all of my questions. Islam.
Islam. My pleasure. Islam.
Islam. And to our wonderful audience, we thank you once again for taking the time and tuning in. We thank you and I appreciate you. We all do. On behalf of the Amexem-Moor-Empire collective of souls all across the board. With that, we want to say thank you. Please share the link for this segment with all who you associate with, and any more information regarding everything covered in this particular segment and all previous segments or future ones. More information can be found on the website we influenced that was mentioned earlier on the segment. That website is www.modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. Thank you for your time, and until next time, on behalf of the entire collective of souls all across the Amexem-Moor-Empire National and Empire, we thank you, and until next time, peace and Islam.